The Republican convention's in New York City next week. Times Square's famous comedy club, The Laugh Factory, is featuring pro-Republican comedians in a show called The Right Stuff. One of the stand-ups in the act is Jeff Wayne, and you've heard some of his material. He joins us now in studio. Jeff, who dreamt this up? Who said, let's get a bunch of conservative guys together and take them out on the road?
There was a gentleman named Eric Peterkovsky, who was the producer of the show, the creator of it. I was doing a show for Larry Elder. It was a anti-Michael Moore documentary.
Right.
And he came to that performance at the Ha Ha Cafe in Los Angeles.
They always have great names.
They always have great, the Chuckle Lounge,
yeah, right.
The Comedy Crevice.
Sure.
The Ha Ha Cafe. I don't mind saying that I did a pretty good job that night. And after the show, he came up and talked to me, and he said, do you think we could put together a tour of conservative comedians?
And you consider yourself a conservative comedian. You're not just jumping on this bandwagon.
No, I'm a conservative, and one of the rules we had for getting the comedians that they had to be conservative or right-leaning libertarian, Reagan Democrat, Republican light. In other words, we'd like to resemble the Republican Party itself.
A balanced party ticket here.
Exactly.
And why is it, do you think, that so many comics are liberal or considered to be?
I think most people in the arts are very emotional, and I think it's easier to always, I think it's easier to just appeal to somebody's emotions and to feel these things like we all are, we would love to feed everybody. We don't want anybody to go to hungry. I would say we all agree on that.
Right.
But then people with logic say, well, there's reasons some people don't eat. When Joe gets a heroin problem, I think it's Joe's fault.
Right.
So I think it's a degree of...
Do you talk about heavy issues like that in the act?
Oh, yes. We talk about like capital punishment. I was just in London, and this guy said, do you believe in the electric chair? I said, I believe in electric bleachers. So I like to cut to the chase of my feelings.
And Teresa Hines, I know, is a favorite of the right-wing comics.
I enjoyed her speech so much. It was actually like Heinz ketchup. It was slow, full of vinegar, and when she was finished, you wanted to smack her bottom.
This is the kind of stuff you can see when
she speaks 5 languages, right?
Really?
And she could tell you to shove it in 6 of them.
Bada boom.
Ba-ding.
This is a tour that's been going on for about a year. It's here for the Republican National Convention week at the Laugh Factory, as we said. Booking a lot of big tables?
We're booking a lot of stuff. This is at the Laugh Factory. And I must say, Jamie Masada, the owner of the Laugh Factory, in Los Angeles, I think you worked for it one time.
He's a famous guy.
Is a Democrat, huge liberal, but a good man with a good heart. And
puts you all on at 4 in the morning after.
Well, not us. You're talking about when we're just comics. But it's very nice of him to open this space up and say, hey, you have a platform here. Because there's a lot of people in the business that wouldn't. They're very militant, and they wouldn't do such a thing.
Want to mention also, Jeff Wayne has a CD out and also brought the obligatory these days, Kerry flip-flops with a bunch of issues that, are those for sale at the show?
If you go to the website, www.rightstuffcomedy.com, these will all be at sale at the show also. The flip-flops, the bumper stickers, CDs. We got a CD, too, of The Right Stuff Comedy with the different comics. So we got stuff for everybody. And,
Jeff, we got to go right away. I apologize, but we're out of time. Thanks. We'll have you back anytime.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, well, they say they're sick and tired of having to hide their political beliefs to fit the liberal world of showbiz. Eric Peterkovsky and Jeff Big Daddy Wayne from the comedy group or troupe called The Right Stuff join us now. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, among the Hollywood crowd, you guys are among the minority, I guess, at this point, right?
That we are.
Absolutely.
How's things going in town so far?
We've been having a great time here in New York. The crowds have been very enthusiastic. It's something that they can come out and actually hear jokes where Bush is not called an idiot, where he's not called stupid, Republicans are not the Ku Klux Klan, and we get to poke fun at the liberals and Kerry as well, and all in good fun.
Jeff, where does Big Daddy come from? Obviously, you're a big guy. But...
Yeah, Big Daddy's from Newport, Kentucky. I am white trash, or for the more elegant members of your audience, Caucasian debris. And as you know, we're the last oppressed minority, so I'm here to represent them. And I've been living in LA for about the last 20 years. We met, he saw me do a show, and thought it would be good because I do conservative-based comedy. And he thought it might be like that Blue Comedy tour, that we could do something like that. So that's what we started.
Okay, so if John Kerry and the rest of his campaign is in the comedic crosshairs, so to speak, what's funny about him?
Well, I think first I should say, everybody, I've been hearing Democrats saying there were no protesters at their convention. Well, that's because they were all at the convention. And I certainly think his wife is, her speech. Did you hear Teresa Heinz Kerry's speech?
Watched.
Just like a bottle of Heinz ketchup. It was slow, full of vinegar, and when she was finished, you wanted to smack her bottom.
No response from the Kerry campaign on that
No
one.
response from the Kerry campaign.
Do you
Not
guys
yet.
find that when you're thematically right-leaning in your performances, that you then become the target of some protests yourselves?
We haven't
I'm
been.
having Linda Ronstadt
Yeah,
sort
we
of
haven't
flashback.
been. We haven't been formally protested in that way at all. We've actually had a lot of liberals or Democrats come to the show too, and they seem to be taking it in good spirit. We sometimes, the comedians will poke fun at them in the audience a little bit, but I think they're coming out of curiosity as well. They want to see what we're all about.
Yeah. Just a note on the Linda Ronstadt thing. Remember, we tell people when they come in, this is conservative comedy. You know, Linda sort of said to everybody, I'm dedicating this song to Michael Moore, you know, who would really be a challenge for the queer eye for the straight guy. And that's the difference, because I don't think she realized how controversial he is. You know, I mean, and you've seen Fahrenheit 9/11, right?
I have not seen it.
Which was released in Europe as Celsius 11/9. In that documentary, Bush has done everything except kill Lacey Peterson. So when she did that, she's talking to a general audience. If I'm working in front of a general audience, I'm not going to do any hard right conservative stuff. You're going to make them all happy. So I think some of these people have a misplaced idea when they say these things. They have passion, and I'm not questioning that. But, you know, when you bring up a guy like him, you're going to... I mean, it's like if I went out to a general audience and said, I'm going to dedicate this next joke to Rush Limbaugh. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if half the audience got up and left, because that's the way it is.
I was watching the Today Show this morning on NBC. Matt Lauer down at the Republican National Convention. Katie Couric
I
up in
was
the
sleeping.
studio. You were sleeping. And he was talking to her about the fact that they weren't finding any doodads being handed out down at the RNC that were very creative at this point. And he said, you know, when you were up in Boston, I guess Katie had a bunch of them out,
Yeah,
these sort of anti-Republican when she was in
Right.
Boston.
That's
You've
funny.
got a pair of
What
interesting
What
things
I've
here.
brought
Tell-
here are these are our John Kerry flip-flops, and they come in all sizes that'll fit anyone. They come in white or black, and as you can get up close, it lists his various flip-flops. Like I don't own an SUV was then, and now it's that's the family SUV, and it's then he was voted for the Patriot Act, and now he's against the Patriot Act, and it literally says John Kerry flip-flops. So.
We're working on a waffle mix also, I should tell you.
waffle iron, and in terms of our own knickknacks, this is Jeff's new CD, and this is the Right Stuff CD, and it's all at our website, which is rightstuffcomedy.com.
I just wanted to say, they were absolutely right about doodads. If you want doodads, the Democratic Party is the party for doodads. If you're looking for a little creative anti-anything, they're the ones to talk to.
Why is there such so few right-leaning comedians out there?
Because you couldn't get a job, that's why. I mean,
Did you feel career pressure living in Hollywood and being a comedian?
Sure. There's many places I've went to, and if you even touch on that subject, you're just regarded as evil. You're regarded as bad. And even when you make the pitch to say there's a real audience out there for that, they're not interested in that. You know, a producer or somebody that makes something, it's their feeling, their ideas, their taste, and for whatever reasons, this business is dominated by that type of person, and that's okay. We'll go up against it, because I do believe that somebody will sense there is a market for this, and good old capitalism will take over at some point.
Seems to be a market for that here in New York this week, especially. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Again, the website is
Rightstuffcomedy.com.
Jeff Big Daddy Wayne and Eric Peterkowski.
We're in town tonight, the next 3 nights.
Next 3 nights here in New York City.
Some critics would tell you that conservatives can't be funny. Well, we found some who are. A merry band of right-leaning comics. One of them is about to walk into the studio. You're going to meet him. Now, don't let anyone tell you that conservatives can't be funny. During the GOP convention this week in New York, a band of conservative comics has been performing at a club here in town. It's called the Laugh Factory, and they actually call it The Right Stuff. One of the comedians is Jeff Big Daddy Wayne. It's nice to have you here.
I'm here.
I'm not sure why they call you Big Daddy.
I'm not sure either. It's a name I picked up.
Is it true that there was a bomb threat at the place where you and the other comics have been performing?
Yeah, the marquee of the Laugh Factory had GOP comedy on it, and that on 42nd Street, that's where all the protesters went. Okay. And then we got the bomb threat, and I thought, oh my God, Al Franken's going to show up.
That would be the bomb you're referring to, I believe. Well, and some of the humor that has come out from you and others has been pretty pointed, not just at the candidates, but even at a certain candidate's wife.
Yes, Teresa Heinz Kerry. Did you hear her speech at the Democratic Convention?
I did.
It was like Heinz ketchup. It was slow, full of vinegar, and when she was finished, you wanted to smack her bottom.
I'm holding my tongue.
That's okay.
Now you have, but you're more than willing to take shots at yourself too. That I mean, that you're from Kentucky. And
Oh, yes, I'm white trash. I'm white trash from Kentucky, the world's last oppressed minority. Or for your more elegant members of your audience, Caucasian debris.
Okay. And how would the French? What would the French call it?
Oh, the French. I'm still mad from 1985 when they wouldn't let us use their airspace.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? You
Well,
couldn't use
so
our
you're
space.
still bearing a grudge.
I would have bombed France. And my brother said, well, they gave us a Statue of Liberty. I said, yeah, we thought so much when we threw it right in the water.
Nice. Very nice. Did you watch? You've been watching some of the speeches,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Well, when you aren't performing.
Yeah, I tape them and watch them.
So, did you watch Governor Schwarzenegger?
Oh, the girly men, the girly men.
You knew
Well,
this-
I live in
come on,
Los
you knew it was
Angeles.
going to come out in the speech.
Well, I live in Los Angeles, so he's our governor.
Yeah.
And now this was a guy, people were doubting whether he would be elected or not. Remember, what are the polls?
Oh, sure.
I knew he was going to be the governor because he was a movie star. He's married to a Kennedy. There's naked pictures of him. He speaks with an accent. His father was an SS officer. There was something for every voting bloc in California.
He was a shoo-in. It was pretty. But you remember one of the issues also, though.
All the illegal driver's license.
Yes, yes.
Can you believe that in this age of terrorism, we're talking about giving driver's license to illegal aliens? And I call them illegal aliens. I'm not like the LA Times or PBS that calls them undocumented workers.
Yeah.
Pretty soon they'll call burglars unwelcome house guests.
Which would be a nice thing to call him.
And I don't mind if they give them the illegal aliens driver's license as long as they're restricted to driving south.
Political correctness is something clearly that is you take aim at. I mean, there's
Oh, yes.
a lot of people. We get a lot of mail about the oppression of political correctness.
Right. Well, it needs to be oppressed. It needs to be obliterated. I mean, that's what that is the challenge to free speech is political correctness. Of course, because they can determine what is hate speech. All of a sudden, that's hate speech. I mean, I told a joke the other night. I said my grandma's going deaf. We couldn't afford a hearing aid, so we just stopped talking to her. Lady stopped me after the show. She said the term is no longer deaf; it's hearing impaired. I said, well, it doesn't matter what you say. She ain't going to hear it.
She's still deaf.
Is.
She's still deaf.
She is still deaf.
But do you take shots at both Bush and Kerry, or is it only Kerry?
We're pro-Bush because I'm tired of people saying George Bush is dumb. George Bush graduated from Harvard and Yale. That's not a dumb man. And then people say, well, he partied. Hey, that's the American way. If you party and graduate, that's it.
That's the American way.
And then people say, well, he talks to his dad. Well, it's not like his dad was a plumber.
Right.
I mean, do you remember when Hillary was trying to contact the spirit of Eleanor Roosevelt? Now, I thought that was a little kooky.
Yeah.
And thank God that didn't happen because we didn't want Bill running into that ghost in the White House.
So Eleanor hasn't been calling you?
No, she hasn't.
No. Well, okay. Well, me either. I was just
Okay.
asking. Jeff White, it's really great to see you. Have fun
Fun to
while
be
you're here
here.
in town.
Thank you.